Welcome to how this model was created. My name is Karim Chichakly. I'm at isee Systems. And today we're going to look at one of the systems in focus models, which you can find all of them at our isee Systems website at iseesystems.com. This is the case of a new airline trying to enter in a market that has virtually no competition. For example, the very low-cost airlines of People Express in the end of the 1980s, and EasyJet in the beginning of the 2000s. We start with a stock of our potential passengers. This is our market. Some of them adopt and they become passengers. These are people who are actually buying tickets from us. We get new passengers through the BAS diffusion process, which is an adoption by word of mouth process. People who have the tickets for this airline, they're using this airline, tell other people, and they decide to use it also. This side is limiting the number of people who can adopt to how many potential passengers there are. There is also this adoption from advertising. If we don't advertise, no one's going to know about us, so that we won't even have any passengers to give word of mouth. So we do some adoption, we have a budget, and there's an effectiveness. If we run this model so far, we see that all of the market ends up going over to buy tickets from us, which is pretty cool, right? We can calculate our market share from here, which is a very useful metric to tell us where we are. We can also track that market share and do a forecast of where it's going in the future. Based on a time horizon, which is a quarter of a year, we're going to look forward. We're going to forecast into the future, one quarter. And we're going to average what's been happening over the last half year. You might want to average the last year. That's up to you, but this is a fast-growing airline, so I made that a shorter period of time. We just use the forecast function to do this. Very simple. Those are the parameters. And from there, we decide how much we want to expand our market, how much we want to expand into new territory based on where the market share is, and up to some limit of how much market share we think we can get. From our expansion fraction, how much we want to expand, and this concept of potential passengers per route, we can calculate how many new routes will let us expand that much. So here are the routes, and this is just a stock adjustment process. We figure out how many routes we want to add, and we have some time to change them, and it's limited by some maximum that we set, maximum number of routes, and that affects the availability of those routes and therefore controls how fast this can grow. This is a graphical function to do that. If we run this again, we can see the model is correctly growing to the maximum number of routes that we've set over time, which is what we want. However, there's still no feedback back to the market size. If we add routes, we're going to have more people in our market who can buy tickets. So from our number of routes, we can calculate how many passengers we have, potential passengers we have, and actual passengers, so the total in our market. And using a stock adjustment process here, we can then increase the number of potential passengers and increase our market. And if we run this again, you can see that we get more sales over time. Some interesting things about this model, if you want to try to expand it, are that there's no competition here during this expansion, especially this early part that goes really fast. And you may want to expand it to take it in a different direction and look at that. This model is very good at looking at this particular situation and seeing how it might grow, but that competition might become important, especially if competition happens sooner rather than later. It assumes that all of our customers are repeat customers. Maybe they aren't, but once someone's in here, they keep buying from us, and maybe you want to change that. You may want to have the ability to lose customers. We may lose them to a competitor, or we may lose them because they don't like flying on our airline or whatever. There's none of that in this model. We always expand up to this maximum market share, and you may think, and for the number of routes that we're allowed, and then stop, and you may find that maybe that's not good for what you want to do, and you can expand it there. The model, extend the model there. On average, all of our routes have the same number of potential passengers. That may be different on different routes. You may want to add that to the model and You'd have to array that to do that. We also assume that when we enter a new route, when we add a new route, there's no competition in that new route. And that may not be true. If you look at the timing here, this is, well, we'll look at this side. We're growing pretty quickly here, and we don't add routes until we're here. We've been in business for a while by then, and people may start to notice, and they may start trying to compete with us. So that may not be true. You may want to extend the model there. You may want to extend the model to include delays to procure new planes. There are new planes just appear in this model. There's nothing in here to deal with the fact that it could take a long time to get a new plane for a new route. You also need time to hire new flight crews, hire new customer service personnel, hire new IT staff and put IT equipment out there. You need to train these people, and that may also take time. That's not in here either. So those are some areas where you may wish to extend this model. Thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.